I don't. Yeah, we don't need to.
Yeah.
I've been sick. I haven't been sick, since the fall, and yeah, no, it did.
I know. That was the difference. She's not right. Yeah, I think somebody gave me a packet. I haven't looked at it.
When I've spoken to other people,
Because they were doing
yeah.
My wife and I pulled
And
up 2.5 hours.
I didn't get there.
Nice.
I'd like to call the June Poquoson City School Board meeting to order. And from the sound of everything, you're so excited, school must be out, I guess, or something. Let's stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any additions or modifications to the agenda?
We do not.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to recognitions.
Our first recognition this evening is for our student board member, so I'm actually going to ask Marissa Bachlet to come off of the dais and go ahead and go over to the podium. Get to see you with a little different view on camera, Marissa. Marissa has served as our school board student representative for the past year. She's done a wonderful job of reporting the many activities that our schools have done each month. She's been very enthusiastic about her position, and it has been an absolute pleasure to work with this year. I know she's going to have a very successful senior year, and I look forward to hearing what her future holds for her. So if you would please join me in congratulating Marissa on a successful year as our student school board representative. And you're still with us for this evening. A little more work to do. I'd like to ask Mrs. Shelley Furlman to come forward, please. She works with SEAC, which is our Secondary Education Advisory Committee, and the goal of that committee is to assist the division in formulating plans for improving the performance of students with disabilities. SEAC works with the school board, school administrators, teachers, and parents to meet student needs. SEAC meets 4 times per year and provides a presentation to attendees on topics related to the education of students with disabilities. All meetings are open to the public, and the SEAC welcomes anyone interested in special education. In August of 2011, Mrs. Shelley Furlman became the chair of Poquoson SEAC. Her goal has been to reach out to parents, provide information, and offer parents an opportunity to learn about resources for students and parents. Her dedication to this goal was evident at the start of this school year when she set up a table with information about SEAC at each school's open house. In the coming year, she hopes to provide SEAC programs that involve students to show how PCPS is helping them grow through the implementation of Virginia's I'm Determined program. Please join me this evening in congratulating and thanking Mrs. Furlman for all of her hard work on behalf of SEAC. And Ms. Kathy Engel, if she would come forward, please. And she comes to us as the chair of the Gifted Education Advisory Committee, which is there to positively represent the community it serves, collaborate with school division staff and the community, focus attention on gifted education issues, and utilize new information, current research, and best practices in gifted education for program effectiveness. The GAC meets 5 times per year with representative staff from each school and the school board office, parents, and anyone interested in attending or learning more about Poquoson's gifted school community and programs. This year, Mrs. Kathy Engel became chair of GAC. Her goal has been to ensure that the gifted and talented program opportunities are available for all students and for our students to receive the best, most well-rounded education possible despite our continual budget cuts. Ms. Engel is very dedicated in her duties and is active in several PTOs and various committees and school athletic and art parent organizations. Please join me this evening in thanking Mrs. Engel for all that she's done on behalf of GAC. Now I'd like to ask Mr. Wright to come forward. I'm going to ask that Mr. Wright stay there as I read all about Mr. Wright, though. We are presenting Mr. Wright this evening with just a token of appreciation for the work he has done for PHS and the division as a whole. As you know, he's retiring at the end of this month. Mr. Wright has worked tirelessly for PHS in many capacities over the past 40 years. He has served as a teacher, coach, assistant principal, and most recently as principal. As principal, he has helped to ensure the high school remained accredited by the state and federal government. PHS was also recognized by the state with a Board of Education Distinguished Achievement Award under his leadership. Additionally, PHS has been very successful in extracurricular activities and athletic competitions during his tenure as principal. Mr. Wright's passion for the high school has been evident in all that he does. On a personal note, I want to thank Mr. Wright. He has been very supportive of me, and when I started here as superintendent, he was always willing to assist me in getting to know the community of Poquoson. We have spent many an hour together on the sidelines of games, and during that time, he was always willing to answer any question that I may have had for him. Mr. Wright, on behalf of PCPS, I thank you for all that you've done for your high school and truly wish you the best for a very happy and enjoyable retirement. Please join me in thanking Mr. Wright for all of his hard work.
Next, we'll move into presentations and reports, and first up is the financial update with Mr. Bowen.
Good evening, Dr. Carter, school board members, and Dr. Parrish. For my report this evening, I wanted to update you on the latest information we have with budget. Let me begin first by reminding everyone that the budget that was approved for PCPS was based on Governor McDonnell's budget. Well, just last week, the General Assembly approved its budget, and this too is largely based on Governor McDonnell's budget. However, this budget does come with some changes, and as we stand now, we are just waiting for the calc tool to be released from the Department of Education, so we can determine how the state budget currently will impact our approved budget. The General Assembly approved budget currently sits with Governor McAuliffe, and he has 7 days in which to act. Several things can happen in this process. The governor can just sign the budget, and we would all be grateful for that. He can send the budget back to the General Assembly with changes, and if that occurs, then this will delay the action on the final budget. So that's a budget update. Let me move forward and talk about some of our concerns going forward. Just last week, the state reported that general fund revenue collections for May 2014 declined 20.7%. The important thing to note here is that this is the biggest one-month decline in almost 13 years. In addition, the budget that the General Assembly just approved does not reflect a reduction in sales tax revenue. We know at this point that actual sales tax revenue for this fiscal year is currently lagging the actual forecast. So it is very likely that as we move into 2015, we will see a reforecast of the revenue, which sales tax revenue will be reforecasted downward, which could result in budget cuts for us in 2015. The state is currently estimating a revenue shortfall of $1.55 billion for the coming biennium, and with almost $1 billion of that occurring next fiscal year. To minimize this impact will require the state to use the Revenue Stabilization Fund, or commonly known as the Rainy Day Fund. What I believe we are seeing here, these are significant indicators, and what I believe this is telling us is that the state's budget outlook for the next 2 years is not promising. But we will know more once we see a final budget. The city has committed to us $450,000 in ongoing funds. Had this not occurred, I believe PCPS would be looking at drastic budget reductions in the next budget cycle for FY16. Now, what do we expect going forward? We expect to have a calc tool from the Department of Education by the end of this week. And we expect to have a final state budget by June 30. It's our understanding that neither the governor nor the General Assembly want to prolong this budget, and nor can they afford to extend beyond June 30. Once we have a state budget, we'll be working to identify the actual impact the state budget has on the PCPS budget, but also working to identify items in our budget for potential budget reductions. And that concludes my report this evening.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody have questions?
I'd like to add to that knowing that we are probably expecting to see that sales tax revenue, once its reforecast is done, decline, that as we look towards fiscal year 15, which is this coming school year's budget, we are doing all that we can to prepare for the possibility of budget cuts. So if we are cut during the course of the year as a result of this outlook, we'll be prepared to be able to handle those without affecting instructional programs within the classroom, and we'll certainly keep you posted as we move through the coming months.
So what happens if the governor delays? You said he changed it and threw it back, and it was delayed. What would be the result of that, or the consequence of that?
If the governor sends the budget back to the General Assembly with changes, then the General Assembly has to act on those changes, and then it goes back to the governor. So they have a very short window in which to do that, but as I said, all indications is that they want to get this budget done by June 30. If they fail to do that, then it may prohibit them from the use of the rainy day fund. The rainy day fund is going to be critical in this next fiscal year in order to prevent significant budget reductions, not only to school divisions, but to state agencies also.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Bowen, I appreciate it. Next up, operations update with Mr. Pappas.
Good evening, Chairman Carter, School Board, and Dr. Parrish. Operations has good news. We are already fully engaged in prepping the schools for the new year, which is only 9 weeks away. And in the area of food service, we just this week received our official notification from the DOE that our inspection of our food services that took place in March over several days, that there were no significant findings, and any items that they did notice have already been remediated by us. This puts us in good stead for next March when the federal government comes down and does another assessment of our food service program. In the area of transportation, in an ongoing effort to increase efficiency, we created fixed bus stops for both our mid-year student remediation and our summer school programs. These fixed stops are spread further apart than our regular student routes, and we first deployed them during this year's school remediation before the school year ended. It went very well, and it has allowed us to further cut expenses and reduce less staff hours and less buses on the road. And in the area of operation, as you know, while students are out, we're busy in all manner of activities with custodial staff, moving furniture, waxing floors, maintenance, doing much needed preventive maintenance, painting things, all in preparation for the return of faculty and staff in 9 weeks. And that concludes my report.
Rub it in. Thank you, sir. Questions, comments there?
I'm sorry, how many weeks was it?
I think 45 days,
So like 9 weeks about.
kind of like 9 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And next up, instructional update with Dr. Colley.
Good evening, Chairman Carter, members of the board, Dr. Parrish. My update tonight is sort of a hodgepodge of lots of things in the instructional department that might interest you as we move into summer break, which is 9 weeks. So the first thing I'd like to mention is just to share with you that I attended New Horizons spring recognition program recently, and I'm just so proud of our students who have completed programs there. If you ever get the chance to visit or see what our students are doing there, it's just simply amazing. And I lost count after the honorariums, around $40,000, but they gave away honorariums and scholarships to these students, some who are going straight into the workforce and others who are headed to college and university. So it was an amazing evening, and well done, students. We also wrapped up another great year in our 4 schools. I wanted to share that in year 3 of our Department of Defense reading grant and for the K-5 literacy model, we've been able to continue that implementation, and we're actually in the process of applying for an extension to that grant. So rather than sort of have a final rush to spend money quickly because we're at the end of 3 years, they actually allow us to extend this for 1 more year so that we can spend some time supporting professional learning and continuing to develop that curriculum. We're also able to use another new tool next year in grades 3 through 8. The elementary school tried out On Track this school year, which is an online assessment program where teachers can build their own tests to meet the specific needs and skills of the students they're teaching, and they can do pre-testing, and then they can add questions to it and do post-testing and really measure growth for students. And it's online, so it also helps with a lot of the different kinds of assessments students are taking online. And next year, we're going to have that in grades 3 through 8 in math and reading, and we'll also have it in 2nd grade for math. So that's exciting. You'll also remember we talked earlier this year that the high school and the middle school tried out some online services for actually submitting writing samples, grading writing samples, and getting peer feedback. And that has met with great success. They're both going to continue those programs next year. And then we'll also dig in a little deeper at the high school level with our teachers and guidance staff as we get ready to roll out the new redesigned SAT tests, which students will start taking in March of 2016. So, even though we've started our summer vacation, you can see that we're pretty busy thinking about instruction for next year, and we already have a full schedule for summer school, which begins Monday. So if you haven't gotten that memo, the buses roll on Monday for those students, and we're fortunate this year in Poquoson to have 3 administrative interns working with us during the summer school program. And to close out, I'd just like to thank all of our teachers and staff, students and families for just a wonderful school year and an even better one next year. I hope everyone has a safe and happy summer, and that concludes my instructional update.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions there? Comments?
No, I do have a comment that we're hoping maybe at next year graduation, we could talk about the 2-year completion statistics from New Horizons and the number of certifications that our students have earned. I do believe parents need to hear that it's not only a college education, but the certifications
Oh,
to
yeah.
go out to the workforce are extremely important. So maybe at graduation, we hear those statistics.
All right.
Anybody else? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Cass, can you take us through the consent agenda, please?
Yes, sir. The consent agenda tonight includes the following items A through F, which are in your board packet. Approval of financial reports, approval of personnel action, approval of a resolution to dispose of surplus property, approval of accept and expend in accordance with request. Feels like there's something missing there. Authorization for the superintendent to execute a lease agreement between the Peninsula Metropolitan YMCA and the Poquoson City School Board for the continued use of Poquoson Primary School for a before and after school care program. Authorization for the superintendent to execute a contract with Service Solutions Corporation to provide custodial janitorial services to Poquoson City Public Schools.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
And Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Ms. Rollins?
Aye.
Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you, ma'am. And other matters for consideration. A, consideration of approval of minutes of the May regular meeting, work session, and closed session, which is enclosed. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
And Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Ms. Rollins,
I have to abstain from that. I wasn't present.
Mr. Hucks,
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker,
Aye.
Ms. Sidner,
Aye.
Mr. Melton,
Aye.
Mr. Cast,
Aye.
Chairman Carter.
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6 to 1 abstain.
Thank you, ma'am. And item B, consideration of approval of minutes of the May special meeting enclosed. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Ms. Rollins,
Aye.
Mr. Hucks,
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker,
Abstain.
Ms. Sidner,
Aye.
Mr. Melton,
Aye.
Mr. Cast,
Abstain.
Chairman Carter.
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 5 to 2 abstain.
Thank you, ma'am. And item C, consideration of approval of the No Child Left Behind grant for 2014-2015. There's a reading file enclosed. Dr. Parrish?
Yes, the reading file outlines some information about that grant. We bring that to you each year at this time. At this point, we're estimating that we may be receiving a little over $105,000. Please know that we're estimating that because we don't get final confirmation until we get a little bit further into summer. And these funds are used to support at-risk students as well as to support professional development. Important to note that while we continue to have to meet federal requirements and they in fact continue to increase, we do not see an increase in funding coming along with those requirements. But with all that said, I do recommend approval of the NCLB consolidated grant application.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any questions there? No Child Left Behind? Okay. Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Ms. Rollins,
Aye.
Mr. Hucks,
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker,
Aye.
Ms. Sidner,
Aye.
Mr. Melton,
Aye.
Mr. Cast,
Aye.
Chairman Carter. The motion passed by a vote of 7 to 0.
And next up is consideration of approval of the appointment of student representative to the school board for school year 2014-2015. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And, sorry,
beat
Mr.
you to it.
Hucks, would you like to take it from here and do a little introduction? All good.
Thank you, Dr. Carter.
Yes, sir.
On behalf of my fellow selection committee members, I'm quite pleased to recommend Ms. Sophie McDevitt for board approval for the position of student representative.
Does anybody have comments or anything? And Sophie, we're looking very forward to having you, and I appreciate you, the application and the time that it took to do that. And thanks to all the committee members for your work. And we look forward to having you next year. Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Ms. Rollins,
Aye.
Mr. Hucks,
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker,
Aye.
Ms. Sidner,
Aye.
Mr. Melton,
Aye.
Mr. Cast,
Aye.
Chairman Carter.
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 7 to 0.
Thank you. And next up, consideration of approval of the new health textbook for middle school students. Dr. Parrish, would you like to?
Yes, we bring forward your recommendation for the health textbook for the middle school. As is always the case, teachers and other instructional staff reviewed the books. We also had them available for public review in the school board office, so anybody could come and see those books. So with that said, I recommend approval of the Holt Decisions for Health 2009 textbook.
And do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And the second?
Second.
Any questions or comments there?
How many books is it? The invoice says quantity one
One, yeah.
for $11,000.
Yeah,
That's one
it's
heck of a book.
it's definitely more than one. It's for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, so you're purchasing books for all 3 grade levels. Also, I know that somebody commented on the shipping cost. They're hardback books, so that that's in part why you see a higher shipping cost on the PO. So yeah, that's more than one book. Thank
We
you.
would hope.
One big
If
box
they
of
were
books.
one book, I'm going into the health textbook
I'm going with you.
business.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Where do we stand, because ebooks, are libraries, I think, will be a thing of the past, fairly soon. So is there a cost for that? Or
Yeah, there
is it
is
online?
there is a cost. I don't know, there may be online portions with this book. I am not sure. I'll get that information to you. Do know that a lot of the textbooks now do have online resources that you can use. There are some textbooks that will be completely online, but the textbook companies are not going to lose money as a result of moving to online. So as we move more and more in that direction, we'll still see a cost, and I suspect the cost won't be much different from what it is for the hardcover book, but we do continue to look at that issue and know that the kids can access online resources even if they've still got the hard copy book.
And I believe the other issue there as well is if you go to the ebooks, you have to have tablets for every student to have access to that material.
True, but it'd be nice to have an option for those that didn't want to lug around a book.
It should wear out at a slower rate.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen an iPad that's been stepped on? Wears out real quick.
I meant the online.
All right, where are we for a vote? Do we, okay, do I,
We have a motion.
I think I already
You have
have.
the vote, yeah.
Yeah, Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Ms. Rollins?
Aye.
Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cass?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye,
The motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
thank you. Next up, consideration of approval of the Poquoson City Public Schools Strategic Plan, and there was a reading file closed there as well. Dr. Parrish, you want to touch base on that?
Yes,
as
I
well?
just want to thank everybody for participating, but just to remind the community that a lot of work has gone into the strategic plan, including a survey that we had 920 of our parents and community members respond to, and then we had a strategic plan steering committee that was made up of principals and school board office staff, but then the principals worked with their leadership teams in each of the schools, which got input from staff members. We also used some data that we've got from a student engagement survey, so we're able to get student perceptions as well. So it's really been a well-developed strategic plan with a lot of participation at all levels, and then we did continue to update you as a board throughout the process. So we've also made sure that we've created in a manner that when Advanced Ed, which is the accrediting body that we also work with, comes back in, they'll see that it is now very measurable and very much oriented towards student achievement. So with that said, I recommend approval of the 2014 to 2019 strategic plan.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the strategic plan?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments there? I thank everybody for their work. This is significantly better than what we had before. It's based on, like you said, input from community, from students. A wide variety of people helped feed us information to put this together, so thank you very much for your work. It's much better than what we had prior. Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Ms. Rollins?
Aye.
Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cass?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
And next is consideration of approval of moving first reading of changes to policy manual to a second reading. Dr. Parrish?
Yes, you have in front of you the updates to the policy manual. These are the updates that we get every year at this time. These are done by the school board attorney who folds in all of the legislative changes that occurred in the General Assembly, and as a result that we need to make the changes in policy. I'm going to just highlight a few of them. Some of them are fairly insignificant, or some of it's a language change that's come about because of the General Assembly, but I do want to highlight a few. One that I want to highlight is the General Assembly actually passed that any interscholastic youth sports program that uses school facilities have to now either use the school division's guidelines for how they handle concussions or the guidelines that are put out by the Virginia Department of Education. So this means when in our city parks and rec or some of our other leagues use, especially our football field, you'll see our elementary school gym or middle school gym they tend to use. So I've already been in conversation with the city manager, and he's working with Parks and Rec, and we'll continue to work with them to make sure that we've got a process in place to ensure that this does happen before they begin using our facilities. So I wanted you to note that, because while it really doesn't apply to us, it's groups that are using our facilities. We needed to include it in our policy, so it will become part of the facility request process for them. Another that I wanted to highlight, something that we talked about too, because we made the change in our student handbook, which you'll be voting on soon, is the records that we can disclose to post-secondary education institutions. They may request about students, and this has really come as a result of the fact that we've had some colleges and universities experience some crises of their own, and sometimes if information is better shared between the high school and those schools, it might help to prepare the colleges and universities to better work and serve their students that they may be receiving. And then the last one that I wanted to highlight, we've had each year from the General Assembly health issues. 2 years ago it was the EpiPen. Last year it was CPR training for all of our staff and also as a graduation requirement. This year there was a focus on students with diabetes. So there was legislation put in place that students are allowed to carry with them their supplies as long as they have, to include the insulin pump, as long as they have notes from their physicians, and our school nurses will be working with our families on that issue. So those were the three that I wanted to highlight. There are a number of others in here which you can see because they are changed in color. So with that said, I just recommend that we move these policy change recommendations from first reading to second reading. We will bring them back to you in August at your August meeting, and then they'll be in place for the start of school.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Does anybody have any questions, comments about the changes?
Do feel free, I know that you're just receiving them, but to call.
I do have a question under the first aid CPR. That's 4-2-1, safety of school facilities.
Okay.
What page is that on, Gary?
Page
Yeah, we didn't number them, and we
4-2-1.
should have. It's probably about halfway through.
I can count them for you if you want
Yeah,
me to.
next year
No.
we'll number them next time.
The front ones are numbered, they don't
Yeah.
go all the way through? Okay.
That's, I just wanted to be clear, that this is basically a hold harmless. If somebody acts in good faith, there's no civil liability there. It can be brought against them, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, does Virginia, I don't want to put anybody on the spot there, but it looks like, is that a Virginia law?
Yes, and that's why
Okay,
you're receiving
okay.
this, because this was
All
an
right.
update to some changes in the General Assembly. So
Okay,
this would have
good.
been a law that came through the General Assembly.
Good.
Basically, the Good Samaritan law.
The Good Samaritan law, exactly, and I'm very glad to see that in there. Okay, great. Anybody else? Questions? Thank you, Ms. McDowell. Could you call for a vote, please?
Ms. Rollins?
Aye.
Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Next, consideration of approval of VRS employee member contribution proclamation, which was closed.
Yes. This is one that gets us so that we have inform VRS of what we're doing with the remainder of the employee share. Remember that several years ago, General Assembly passed a law that the 5% that the school divisions have been paying, which have been in place since the 1980s in lieu of raises, would now be paid by employees, but we had 5 years to make the change to get to the full 5%. We are, as Mr. Bowen talked to you at the last meeting, bringing forward the final 2% this year, and we're able to do that because VRS made a change about 6 weeks ago in funding in relation to what we have to pay for our non-professional staff, and that saved us $15,000. We've seen some additional savings from retirements, because even as we replace retired teachers, then there's a savings in there. So that provides us the money to take care of this final 2%, but we're actually providing 2.4% to hold as many of our employees harmless as possible, and that should take care of the vast majority of them. And this means at this end of this next year, we'll be at the full 5%. It does help us too. The other school divisions have moved that way, so that at least shows, might help a little bit in terms of the pay competitiveness, that we've got the full 5 in there, because if they have the 5 in and we don't, they look that much higher in pay than we may, just because that 2% sitting in their salary. So with that, I recommend that you approve the resolution as it's been brought forward to you.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And the second?
Second.
Any questions there? Thank you, Ms. McDowell.
Ms. Rollins?
Aye.
Mr. Hux?
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Did we not?
We didn't do G.
Ms. McDowell, did we vote on the, on item G, the approval of the first reading?
No, we did
To
that.
second?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to double check.
No, you're right. Somewhere. Oh, it's at the end. Never mind. I was thinking of policy at the end. You're good. Keep
Okay.
going.
All right.
Sorry.
That's okay. Quite all
Summer
right.
brain.
You just wanted to throw me off before we get to the
There you go.
federally mandated adult meal price
Yes,
increase.
because I know you'll be
Okay.
thrilled to hear about this.
Next is consideration of approval of increase in adult meal prices.
So yes, you approved back in the spring an increase in meal prices because we are required as a result of the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act to increase meal prices. But we received additional information in the last few weeks from the Department of Education that we actually had to increase our adult meal price again to meet the requirements that are in place. So the adult meal price requirement for us was to increase our adult meals by 7 cents. In looking at that, we decided to actually ask that you go a full 10 cents because when you're dealing with pennies at the cash register, it just becomes really challenging as you're moving hundreds of kids and adults through the line. So that means we would be asking for the cost of an adult lunch to now be $3.20. Still, pretty good bargain for your meal, but I wanted you to know that is why we've actually made a change from what you've already approved, because we found out about the additional need from the BDOE. So with that said, I recommend approval of the increase.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And the second?
Second.
Any discussion, questions? No. Okay. All right, Ms. McDowell, would you call for a vote, please?
Ms. Rollins?
Aye.
Mr. Hux?
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Next, consideration of approval of revision to policy manual, Article 7, employee pay and benefits, moved to second reading at May board reading.
Yes, this is the one that I was a little confused about earlier, thinking that we were doing that earlier. We actually brought this for you in first reading last month. This is the policy change that we're making because VRS has created a new hybrid retirement plan. It changes how disability is handled. So for any new employees as of July 1 that are new to VRS for the first time, they would fall under this new policy. So we're recommending tonight approval of these proposed policy revisions so that then we'll have this in place for July 1 for any of our employees that are new to the VRS system.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
And the second?
Second.
And any questions or comments there? Anything at all? All right, Ms. McDowell.
Ms. Rollins?
Aye.
Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. And last but not least, consideration of approval of the Student Handbook and Code of Student Conduct for the school year 2014-2015.
Yes, this was brought to you in the work session, so we had quite a bit of discussion about the handbook last work session, and it is part of your reading file this month. Each year, we bring the student handbook to you at this time because we need to make changes related to things like calendar and also some of the legislative changes that occur from the General Assembly, especially those that can affect graduation requirements. As you know, probably the biggest change in the handbook is the format of the Student Code of Conduct, because we've now put all of the state codes within the Student Code of Conduct, alphabetized the list of offenses, and made it, I believe, even easier to use for both our parents and for our administrators and teachers as they work through it. So parents will notice that change when they receive the books, when students come back in 9 weeks for the start of school. So with that said, I recommend approval of the 2014-15 Student Handbook and Code of Student Conduct.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments there?
Next up, I'd like to thank them for their efforts. It was quite a bit of changing and wordsmithing, so I do appreciate that.
Also having the state code there is just such a
Yep.
positive change. Well done.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Ms. Rollins?
Aye.
Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Ms. Whitaker?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any public comment?
No, sir, we do not.
So we'll move into communications. Dr. Parrish?
Yes, first I'd just like to thank everyone for such a successful year. As always, it was wonderful to watch our graduates walk across the stage at graduation on Saturday, and to watch our baseball players walk across home plate as they graduated because of their game in the state championship on Saturday. And I said it earlier, but I do want to thank everyone for their work on the strategic plan. Our principals are here today. I thank you because it was a lot of work for you all in the buildings with your teachers and other staff members. And the fact that we had so many people participate in the surveys that we put out was really helpful to us. So I'm excited to launch our new strategic plan, and we'll be doing that at Convocation in August. And finally, it goes without saying, but I do hope that our students and our staff members have a very relaxing and enjoyable summer.
Thank you, ma'am. Marissa, take it away.
Okay. I hope everyone is excited for summer and has some nice vacations planned. I'm ready. And though school is out, we do have some news to share. At the Poquoson Primary School, students love to read. So this past month, the Poquoson Public Library and the PPS PTO prepared students for summer reading by giving out books. For the past 8 years, the Poquoson Public Library and the Tab Kiwanis partner together for Books for Breakfast. During this program, students receive a free book for summer reading. At Poquoson Elementary School, their teams competed in the Great Computer Challenge. They sponsored by WHRO. Teams competed in graphic arts, desktop publishing, desktop presentation, and internet scavenger hunt. They first place in graphic arts and an honorable mention in both desktop publishing and the internet scavenger hunt. Poquoson Middle School report cards will be mailed home on June 23rd. Summer school will run from next Monday through June 17th. Sixth grade orientation will be held August 26th from 4 to 5:50, and 7th and 8th grade open house will be held on August 26th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. At Poquoson High School, the PHS Odyssey of the Mind team placed 5th at the World Finals. The track athletes that made all regionals are Megan Peterson, Jesse Spencer, and Mitchell Patane. Congratulations to all the seniors that graduated this past weekend. It was a beautiful ceremony, and I wish them the best of luck in future years to come.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Rollins?
I'd like to commend everyone who made graduation such a wonderful time. It was truly impressive, especially those who made it possible for the baseball players to have such a memorable graduation. That was nice. Marissa, you've done an excellent job of getting the information together and presenting it, keeping us abreast of what's going on at the different schools, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Hucks.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. Along with Dr. Colley and Mr. Melton, I had the opportunity to attend the New Horizons graduation a couple weeks back. I'd like to commend all involved with putting that on. Ran very smoothly. And for people that might not be familiar with that program, it has a impressive tradition of impacting the lives of so many youth. And it was a stroke of genius on the part of somebody for these 6 school systems to pool our tax dollars to provide the career technical education, the Governor's School for Science and Technology, special education, and many other things that fall under the umbrella of New Horizons. So very thankful to be a part of that and commend all those involved. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Whitaker.
Nothing tonight.
Ms. Sidner.
Marissa, it was nice having you on the board this year. Mr. Wright, thank you for all your service, and I hope everybody has a good summer.
Thank you, Mr. Melton.
Yes, unfortunately I had to miss graduation last week, but I did enjoy attending the New Horizons graduation before. Last week I did attend the Virginia CTE Advisory Committee meeting. Heard a very interesting discussion on middle college, and that's basically the need to go beyond high school, but maybe not into a 4-year degree status where you gain technical skills, and they're calling those things middle colleges these days. And that was put on by Elizabeth Creamer from the Governor's office. A very interesting presentation. Also stayed for the Excellence in Action Awards luncheon, and we recognized outstanding career and technical education programs around the state of Virginia and some of the community colleges that work in workforce development. Very happy to see Shelley Furlman here. I've been attending the Special Education Advisory Committee meetings for the last couple of years, and I really appreciate her efforts. And I would like to give a shout out to Mr. Bernie Wright, always very professional and always with really kind remarks. You never look like you broke a sweat, Bernie. So maybe on the inside. But always enjoyed our conversations, and I think next June I'm going to bring my track shoes for this meeting. That's it.
Mr. Cast.
I would like to thank you, Mr. Wright, for a job well done. And Marissa, I'm going to miss your smile here on the board. It really lights up the room. So thank you very much. That's all.
All right. Graduation did go very, very well. So thanks to all the teachers and administrators who worked to put that together. I thought it went very smoothly. I had the chance to see the course concert at the middle school, which was amazing. We have some very, very talented students in the system and some very, very talented teachers who can get that talent out of those students and put it together in a manner that is just amazing to listen to. So thanks to all the fine arts teachers out there. Mr. Wright, thank you, sir, for your service. And I really hope that you can exhale and go do some fun stuff and just have a good old time and not worry about all the stresses that come with your job, which I am sure are just enormous. But thank you very much. And Marissa, I really enjoyed having you down there, and throw it to you every single time. You never fumbled once, and you just cruise right along, and you're a pro at it. And I apologize, but I haven't had very much to eat tonight, so I had to eat my candy. Okay. Usually I shuttle that down there to her, but I ate my 2 pieces of candy tonight before the meeting, so I owe you. But thank you very much. With that, I hope everybody has a safe summer. Enjoy it, relax some, but whatever you do, just be safe. Do we have any material for board review?
We do not.
Thank you. So pursuant to section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia, I move that the board convene in a closed meeting to consider personnel matters permitted under section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia. And with that, I will adjourn. Thank you very much.